sucks out there. Yep. Okay. Star Wars thing. George Lucas gonna give us a call. Keep saying what you're saying, guys. I don't care anymore. I got my bag. I'm out. I wanted to keep writing about midichlorians, but they wouldn't let me. They said, George, you gotta stop. And I said, give me $1 billion and I'll stop. And they said, okay. And I said, oh, that was a bluff. Well, sure, I'll take it. It was all gonna tie into Masters of Terras Kasi, and they said no. We all got paid millions of dollars by Netflix to not make movies. Oh yeah, it's taking everybody. Saw somebody made a comment in the Cars universe. Hey guys, we're gonna say we're here. They go, oh, Cybertrucks. And then it was the Cybertruck with the car's eyes. He's like, hey, you guys talking about woke? It was a very good and cursed image of the Pixar Cybertruck. Yeah. I'm starting to see him more and more often these days, and it's sickening. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not like a Camry. It doesn't really blend in with the backgrounds. I saw one with like big magnets on the side for like somebody's, or I guess they might not have been magnets. They might have just been like a vehicle wrap or something for somebody's business. I'm like, that's maybe the worst billboard I have ever seen. Because if you're driving a Cybertruck, I don't want anything of what you're selling. Oh yeah. It was all right. I played up and through the bridge of Eldon. Had a really good time. Thought that was rad, and then completely lost interest after that. No. Go for it.
What is up, everybody? I'm Bobby. That's Chase. This is a casual hour. We want to tell you about video games and especially some new ones tonight. It's
Hello,
August 28th.
gamers.
Hello, gamers. It's August 28th. We're recording episode 389 live on the internet. Tune in where you can. Chase, speaking of video games, how important is the face button layout to you on a controller?
It's not. I know you have strong opinions. I've used them all.
I'm not
I've used them
alone,
all.
Chase.
I have preferences, but I don't care all that much.
I've got a large group of people frothing at the mouth on the internet to tell you it does matter.
Yeah, of course.
But we haven't had this happen with one of our polls yet, Chase. Threads.net/casual hour. You can check out some of our stuff, or Bob Omby. You can see our polls there. I asked about Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. We had around 166 votes on this.
Dreamcast can just fuck off to you.
I'm talking current, baby. Living in the present. Can't look behind you. Can't look ahead of me. Don't want to think about it. Nintendo came in with a 14% market share of favorability for their layout.
Okay.
The worst layout, might I add.
That sounds about right.
Sony and Microsoft tied at 43% here, but it gave the edge for some reason to Sony. So Sony technically won our poll, but it was neck and neck, Chase.
So I use my Switch obviously more than any other console.
You're a Switch slut.
I enjoy the Switch, yes. Even I don't like just put X and Y where they belong. Don't flip them like that. I know you came first. I don't care. The Xbox makes a lot more sense to me. But also, as much as I've hated many Sony controllers over the years, it has never been because of the button layout. I am totally fine.
Stick layout.
Yeah, it's fine. It gets away from all the problems of using letters and just having circle, square, triangle, and X or cross or whatever you want to call it. I like that face button layout. I like it that it's not only symbols, but it's also colors. Like you know, X is blue, circle is red. Yeah, like that helps. I mean, I guess Xbox also has the color coded face buttons. But
look, in my opinion, the only time this is a problem is if you are privileged enough to have multiple consoles in your life. That's the only time this is a problem. If you are an exclusive Switch player or Nintendo player, Microsoft or Sony, it doesn't fucking matter to you because you've got it locked in. And that's what you're playing on. But if you're a dumbass like me who has too many video game things around him and you are playing too many games at once, you might be going between a game that you're playing on your PlayStation, your Xbox, your PC, or your Switch. And I think that's the only time, like when we did the Mario Kart stream, I kept fucking hitting the wrong button that would back me out of the lobby. And that was just my muscle memory, like, oh, I'm pressing B instead of A to move forward because of placement of what I've been playing all day long, except for the Switch stream that night. So this is only an issue, in my opinion, if you are privileged enough to play a bunch of different things. That's what I think.
Yeah. No, I mean that's fair. That's fair. But also, Nintendo should just change. I love you, Nintendo. I think you're right on most things. Not online play.
No, maybe they get better.
But also button layout. Not you guys missed that one.
They okay. Sure did. Chase, tonight is my favorite type of episode. I want to say thank you at the top for getting our note put in such a pristine layout. You always do a great job with that.
Hey, Bobby. Hey, Chase, it's my favorite episode, the one where you do all the work.
Yes, this is what it feels like. I think that you do a great job getting us set up on our end where we can pull trailers together. We can have a good plan of what we want to cover. So tonight we're going to tell you about the new games that are coming out in September. We're going to look back to August and see how we did, but we got a few games that we got to talk about before we get into those things. How do you feel about that plan?
I just want to say up front, honestly, I actually really like doing the monthly previews because it's my best time to pay attention to the games that are coming out that month because we talked about this before. All the good video game sites are gone. All the magazines are gone. Everything's gone that matters. Twitter sucks now.
It's up to us.
There's no I do not get my news about video game releases from many places anymore. It's like Nintendo Directs, and even then I don't remember the dates. God no. So doing these episodes is actually really helpful to me to just be like, oh, that's coming out this month. I didn't realize that. That's cool.
Well, maybe next week we'll touch on a little bit of the stuff from the direct. I know we got a pretty stacked episode tonight.
Yeah.
And we usually try to cover those types of things.
There was some good stuff in there.
Yeah, for sure. I think there was at least one game I'm like, I bet Chase is excited about that. There's a few actually, but I think there's one in particular. Okay. Well, Chase, let's. It looks like you want to check in really quick on a game that you've been playing. Anything that you want to share on SteamWorld Heist 2?
Just that I'm still having a really good time with it. I think I am at or near the end.
How much further is that past the ice area?
The ice area is the end, I think, but also you have to leave the ice area at some point and then come back, or at least I did.
Okay.
Actually, you do have to leave the ice area and come back. So if you haven't left it, you're still in it.
Okay. Fair.
But I've been having a really good time. I think I've unlocked basically all the crew. I've got 9 slots now. I know there's a 10th character, and I see him, and I go, I don't have room for you, but I don't know where you fit in.
Oh, okay. And they let you get everybody,
it's all
right?
built to have 9 spots. I think you can have everybody, but also the UI just seems like it's perfectly set for 9 spots. So I don't know if maybe you just always miss one. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe they'll do DLC or something.
Yeah, or maybe it's like a post-game thing. I don't know. There's a really good surprise in that game that I hit on that I thought was really fun.
Cool.
And I've just I've been having a great time. I unlocked the ability to get everybody's second personal skill, and those have been really cool and came at a good time where I was thinking, hey, the game has a lot of stuff, but I kind of wish there was a little bit more. And the game's like, well, how about everybody gets a second skill slot? And I went, okay, yeah, that'd be really cool. And it's made me go back and look at characters and go, oh, with this second skill slot, that could be really cool. And so I've been having a lot more fun now.
Can you give me an example of one of those things that you did?
Yeah. So the girl you get as the sniper, Daisy. At the very beginning. She has I forgot what her first personal skill is, but her second personal skill is that all of her cog abilities that she can unlock on the other skill trees, they reduce down by 1 cost. So now she can have so many more abilities available to her over somebody else. And then there's also Wesley, the other guy who you start with.
The Reaper.
Wellesley. And one of the things that Reapers do is that if you get a kill, they get a kill shot where they get a second shot. And there are other ways of getting further shots if you take something out, or if you do more damage, or some guns that can even shoot multiple times in a single round of combat. And his secondary skill says for any kill he gets, he'll do an extra point of damage for the rest of the turn. So now his Reaper ability stuff makes a lot more sense of, okay, so I killed this really weak enemy, and then I use a second shot to kill a bigger enemy, because he just continues to grow and grow and grow as you're taking shots.
Oh, it stacks?
Yeah, it'll keep stacking for the turn, so it does reset the next turn, but you do have this ability of, okay, maybe I can chain a couple of kills and actually do a whole lot of damage to this really big unit out there. So I've been having a pretty good time with some of these characters and the ways that they work, and now that I've been finishing some class trees and being able to reclass into other classes, and starting to combine stuff. Like a couple characters I've kept low and on a bunch of different classes, so they have a bunch of little abilities, and then for some of them, I max them out in sniper, and then I go to another thing and I try to max them out in that one, and now I've got I think it does, like one of my criticisms with the game when we first talked about it is how sometimes all the characters can kind of feel samey when you have anybody who can do anything. But because the game is only of a certain length, mean, you could grind it out and get everybody every ability if you wanted to, but that's just not
There's
really
a
how you're going to play
replayability
it.
to it.
Yeah. So it does put you in a situation of, okay, Daisy's my sniper, and then I put her into flanker next, so now she's kind of sniper with some flanker abilities, and that's kind of how I want to play her. And I think that's a really good way of still giving you the customizability, but still kind of having you put them down a path, so they still feel unique and special. Where I go, this guy put into Brawler and he got all this health, so now I think I'm going to put him into Boomer because he can take any potential splash damage because he's got all that extra health, and maybe those have some coexistence stuff. But I'm not necessarily going to put that person into Sniper because those abilities don't sync as well. So even though I could, and eventually with enough time I would get all those skills, you still kind of do make some choices just knowing, hey, I got to finish this game soon, so I should efficiently put them into classes that are complementary.
Yeah. No, man, it's great. That game continues to be a high watermark for the year of 2024 for me. And it's a game that I think is getting a lot of flowers thrown at it, but I think it's a game that people probably, it doesn't maybe have the staying power yet that like an XCOM franchise does, but I think it should, and I hope more people play it.
And from a SteamWorld perspective, Dig is still the high watermark for everybody. It seems like everybody loves Dig, and I love Dig. Don't get me wrong, but Heist has always been my favorite one, and it is really nice that Heist is kind of getting the love that I feel like it always deserved, because I feel like that first game was well liked, but then they moved on, and people got hyped about Dig 2 or the card game one. It was also good. Like there hasn't really been a bad SteamWorld game, but I have just wanted SteamWorld Heist 2 for so long, and finally getting it and it being good is awesome. Makes me feel great.
That's awesome, man. That's SteamWorld Heist 2. We'll continue to give you some updates on it. Sounds like Chase is nearing the end. I still have work to do, and I'm probably going to be playing a little bit more of it as I start to tear apart my office and move to some handheld gaming for the next few weeks. But yeah, man, thrilled for you, thrilled for me, thrilled for everybody. That's a great video game. Is mobile golf a great video game?
Yeah. Bobby, let me ask you a question. You have played Mario Golf, correct?
I have.
Have you played the Game Boy Color Mario Golf?
Not as much as the other ones, but yes.
Okay. So I love the Game Boy Color Mario Golf. One of my favorite games. And there's a lot of reasons why somebody would like Mario Golf on the Game Boy Color. It's got the Mario characters in it. They might like that. The courses are good. The golf mechanics are good. But one of the things I liked the most about Mario Golf on the Game Boy Color is that it was like a full RPG. You were at a golf school. You took tests, and it got you experience points, and you'd upgrade your clubs, and you'd do all these things. And there would also just be a school area that you would go back and forth to, and you could go to different courses, or you could go to the cafeteria, and you could do lots of things like that. And it was the same with Mario Tennis as well. And I really, really loved those games because they felt like a world. Mobile Golf, made by the same developer, Camelot Development Planning, I think is what they're called.
Camelot,
yeah, Camelot. Mobile Golf is made by the same developer. It's on the same engine. It was made a couple years after Mario Golf. Also on the Game Boy Color. And it's good. The courses still great. The mechanics still perfect. It does have some Mario characters that I think are unlockable, but it still puts you in the shoes of normal humans. It still has experience points, and you can still put points into your drive distance or your slice or whatever like that. But it doesn't have the world. It doesn't have the school.
Sure. The characters, the world.
Yeah, and I think maybe I was building up this game in my mind. So this was a game that only came out in Japan, never came out here, and I'm playing a fan translation of it.
Okay.
And the hook seems to be that this had like networked networked like online play on the Game Boy Color.
At the time?
Because I think in Japan what you could do is like hook it up to like a cell phone thing, and it would like Japan had lots of cool stuff. So they were able to play like online stuff through like mobile phones, even as far back as something on the Game Boy Color. So I think the specialness of this is that, hey, you can play Mario Golf mechanics against your friends online.
Right.
And so to facilitate that, they kind of just built the shell of the video game without building like the full RPG. And I was really expecting it to be like, oh, this is just like another Mario Golf game made by the makers of Mario Golf. I can't wait to jump in and just play another one of these. And it's not quite that, because it doesn't have that other stuff in there. But again, the mechanics are awesome and the courses are great. I played a handful of rounds of golf. You can unlock some extra characters. You can in like a single player like match play, so you can play against a guy, and if you beat him, then he's a selectable character for you. You still have those RPG stats. And it's still just a really good golf game. I like the way their wind mechanics work. I like the way the top-down stuff with the little carrots on the course to kind of give you the idea of where the lie is, or like what the elevation is. All that stuff is still great. I had an amazing chip in from 30 yards away, and it felt so fucking good to knock in that shot.
Golf games are the best sports games. There's no arguing this.
I think that's probably true. I think
golf, as far as video game sports are concerned, golf is the king.
Yeah.
It's the best.
But it was just a little sad to go, oh, this is like a game I will pick up every once in a while and just play a couple of courses and call it good, or a couple holes. I mean, a couple holes and call it good, rather than, oh, this is like that RPG that I played where I kept playing it for hours and hours and had a really good time with it. And that bummed me out a little bit. I think if I just read up on it a little bit more before jumping in and had those lowered expectations, I guess, I think this would be a fantastic golf game. But it wasn't quite what I thought it was, and that made me a little disappointed, even if it is still a fantastic golf game.
That's awesome, man. Well,
yeah.
This is from your spin the wheel, from your backlog roulette from last month. We're gonna see that wheel again here soon. But before we get to the wheel, I have a commitment from last month as well, Chase, and that is Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah. So the most popular game on the planet.
It is. I'm a little taken aback by how popular this game is, but not at all after playing it. People were kind of excited for this game for a long time. If you're not familiar with it, this is if you don't know much about it, this is the monkey with the staff. That's this game. It was at early thoughts it was going to be like a Souls-like, and that's what everybody thought this was. And I think there's a little bit of Souls in everything now, so there is some of that here. This one lives for me. I think it has a lot more of like the newer God of War games and the Star Wars Jedi games that have come out recently. It's more akin to one of those. It's hard. It's a hard game. It's a challenging game, but it's not punitive and it's fair from what I've experienced. This came out on August 19th from Game Science, and to Chase's comment, it's sitting at an overwhelmingly positive with 443,000 reviews on Steam right now. Most of that's probably from China, which is where...
Yeah, I think the shitty thing that's happening, I wouldn't necessarily even call it a backlash exactly, but there are some shitty people and gamers and analysts out there who are kind of just going like, well, obviously it's popular because all the Chinese people like it.
Yes.
And from what I hear, and I guess you can confirm, it's also just that it's a really good fucking video game.
Dude, this is one of the best games of the year. It is maybe one of the best looking games I've played in some time. It's just absolutely beautiful. It's an Unreal Engine 5 game. This game is shipped with no like graphical or mechanical hitches. It is you get all your shit right there at the beginning. You don't have to buy anything else. You just fire this thing up and you fucking go. It plays very well. There's a very compelling loop to it. I call it like a Mega Man-ness. So you're fighting a lot of things in this game, and I'm going to be very open with everybody. I don't know a whole lot about the source material this is based off of, the Journey to the West. So this is kind of my first time taking that stuff in, and I got to tell you, this little character you play as, he's cocky as shit, but god damn it, he can back it the fuck up. He earns
that's Son Goku for you.
He earns every fucking ounce of his arrogance, and he gets it in fucking spades because he is treated like shit. He's looked down upon. He's not taken serious, and his people are at risk of what's happening by these gods. And he's fed up with it, and he's fucking out here kicking ass. And there's some of the bosses are, dude, God, I really would love for you to play this because I think that you probably won't like it. You might, I don't know, but I think you'll appreciate just the fucking bombast that comes from this. And some of these, like, you mouth off, like you walk up on these guys and you basically are like, hey, fuck you. This isn't happening. I'm fucking over it. Let's do this. And then you just go into it and fight. But when you beat somebody, you get a few different things. So the game, whenever you fight a boss, you're going to get some element that you can either become a weapon. Like I took on this one dude's weapon, and now I can just transform into him when I'm fighting.
Okay.
And so he was this, I can't remember if he was a king or something. I can't remember exactly who he was, but he had a really cool fire blade staff. And so you can turn into him and you get a whole new move set. Same button prompts that your character has, like light and heavy attacks and the dodge. That's the other thing. There's no parrying. This is just perfect dodges or dodges.
Okay.
So really cool slowdown mechanic when you execute one of those. But you have heavy attack, light attack. You can upgrade both of those, and you have different stances. You only have one type of weapon that I've encountered, which is a staff. And you can get focus upgrades on that lets you charge up your staff. So your first stance is just like you slam the staff down on people, but you'll be running and holding it behind you, and it starts to charge up, and then you do like a really big hit that can kind of ignore shields and whatnot. There's another stance that I've gotten where it's like a perch style. And what's cool about this is you climb up on and you sit on top of your staff and you just wait for them to come to you. But you can also just like pop up and avoid all the bullshit that's going on. And as you upgrade it and you keep holding it down to charge it, it grows taller. And so you get up to a point where then you get up super high and you can unlock another ability, which lets you just drink your healing potion while you're hanging out on top of it. And then you just flip down and just annihilate people with it.
Nice. That is a famous thing with the pole, is that it can extend or shrink. Like I think I don't know if it's in this game, but I believe the story is that he actually keeps the staff in his ear when he's not using it.
Yeah, it looks like a little. I'm like, oh, guess he's got some hygiene. And no,
he's like got a little Q-tip in there, and he's like, oh, actually extend. This is my giant pole of death.
I got to tell you, like he's walking up, and somebody just starts fucking yapping at him, and you just see that hand come up to his ear. I'm like, you fucked up. You fucked up. Like, this is on you. And he pulls it out, and it's just like he holds it off, and it just goes, gets real big. And then like the camera will kind of swing behind him, and then it's just you looking at the enemy.
Yeah.
There's one enemy I walked up on. It's this fucking massive palace, dude. Huge palace. And you open the doors, and when you open the doors, there is just dismembered body parts strewn about everywhere. Nice. And so you're like walking. I'm like, fuck, this is probably where I get, taught a hard lesson in this game. So I start walking up. And you open up another set of doors, and it's a pool of fucking blood. And there is a tiger face down lapping up the blood. And as you open the door, he just raises his eyes up and looks at you, lifts his head, and blood just starts pouring down his face. It's so good. The fights are like, my heart is just pounding the whole time I'm doing these fights because the music ramps up and the shots remind me a lot of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon on how they film this and do that. Like it's very, very stylized in that sense. But you're just kind of working through this. Like the game starts off and you basically have a confrontation with a bunch of very big gods. and you ride a cloud up to them to have a conversation, and you're basically like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're not doing this, I'll be down here, go fuck yourself. And you're progressing through this, and at the end of each, so it's chapter based, so like each chapter goes into a new region, and from there the game's very forgiving, Chase. So if you're familiar with like what we've talked about with Souls likes, with the bonfires and all that, you lose nothing when you die except your pride.
Yeah.
And so it'll take you back to the last place that you rested at. That's also the store. That's also the that's where you can change out and swap your skills, because you have those physical abilities I mentioned, but when you beat bosses, sometimes you unlock certain things. So I mentioned there wasn't a parry, but the tiger I talked about, his ability was he could turn to stone. And in this one, if you turn to stone and they hit you, they kind of like freak the fuck out and stall out, and then you go and attack them.
There's like a stun. Yeah.
Skill trees that you can like equip and build out, all that stuff. It's very customizable for your play style. Lots of really cool secrets. I'm actually in the game, I'm in a whole other area because I found a sober stone to give to a drunken boar monk. And he made me fight him when he sobered up. And he's like, hey, you're actually all right. I like you. Come with me. I'm like, all right, where are we going? You go through a portal. It's a whole new fucking world that you could easily miss if you did. So like, I love that shit. And there's all these dragons. Is that a Dragon Ball? Like, obviously Dragon Ball. There's like 4 or 5 dragons.
There are dragons in Dragon Ball.
I knew there's balls, but I didn't know if there was dragons.
The balls are actually connected to the dragons.
Most of the time they are.
Fair enough.
But no, this game is very, very cool. I'm having a ton of fun with it. I've gotten pretty good at it too. Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of people who are struggling pretty heavily on online. I'm gonna do a quick little humble brag. Is it a WIGHT? WIGHT?
A white.
A white. Okay. That's like the first time in the game where like people, that's like the skill check. That's like you walk out in Elden Ring, there's the big fucking guy on a horse you fight.
Yeah.
So the white that you fight, right? Did I say that right? White?
Yep. Just pronounce it like the color.
Cool. So you clear that, all things good. You get to a secret area in chapter 1, there's another white. And so I did the George Bush 9/11 meme, and I put the monkey on George Bush's face, and it said, "Sir, there's another white skill check. A second white skill check must be passed."
Pretty good. Pretty good.
I thought that was pretty good. But yeah.
Does this game have multiple difficulty settings or anything, or just the game is the game?
Okay. Game's the game, which it does scale, by the way. So as I've gone back to the first area, because you can backtrack, I've been just crushing through the enemies there. So I think that the areas scale. I'm sorry, it does not scale from what I've encountered so far.
Okay.
Going back, at least.
I like things when they don't scale, because I think it's fun to come back and stomp and to realize how much better you've gotten. I remember something like a game that I love, Fallout New Vegas, but like that game, anytime you like got to a new area, it would scale the enemies at that time. So anywhere you went, you would always kind of be facing enemies that were scaled to your level. Or maybe that was Fallout 3. Maybe, I can't remember. Maybe it was Fallout 3 that did that, and then Fallout New Vegas threw that away. Something like that. But I just like going back to an area. Like it's kind of nice, and like a Pokemon, to go back to Route 1 at some point. And you go like, oh, I'm just better than all of these things.
Yeah, that's kind of how so I didn't realize that there was these dragons, and the dragons get you some of the best gear in the game if you go and find them. And I mean, like, some of the shit's like a boss had to hit a certain wall when you were fighting to break the wall. And then you can go in and get an item. So I went back to the first area to try and get some of that stuff when I learned about it. And that's where I encountered like, oh, I'm much stronger here. But yeah, there's no difficulty. You literally fire the game up, and that's when you go and have that first talk with the gods.
So let me ask you this. You sound like you're pretty into the game, into the character and the story stuff that's going on. Does this give you any interest in going reading something like Journey to the West, or
I mean, I think
watching
so,
something
yeah.
like Dragon Ball?
Well, yeah, I think that
Is this the way Bobby gets into anime finally?
I mean, I guess this is pretty anime if you think about it, right? Like the story that they're telling. Like this,
Yeah, many an anime. In fact, one of the most popular anime is completely based on, well,
Journey to
not
the West.
completely. It's inspired by Journey to the West.
And Journey to the West, is that connected to the books that you're either reading or have just read?
No. So I mean, both Romance of the Three Kingdoms and Journey to the West are two of the three like foundational texts of Chinese literature. The third one is it's like something like Under the Water Front or something to that effect. I can't remember, but like yes, they're both very important books. Romance of the Three Kingdoms is more of like a historical fiction thing, whereas Journey to the West is a fantasy novel. But yeah.
Remind me to ask you about a guy that has no head, but to answer your question, I don't know if I would hop into Dragon Ball necessarily because do you think that I've passed the point where that would have had a strong impression on me?
Well, so Dragon Ball is kind of its own thing. It's just that its main character Goku is based on the Monkey King Son Goku. Like Goku is a monkey kind of. He in Dragon Ball he has a tail. He has a power pole that can extend. He has a cloud that he flies on. Like there are things that you go, oh, that's Journey to the West. That's where you got that from.
Got it.
But like that is still kind of its own separate thing. Whereas reading Journey to the West is, obviously this is what that game is taking inspiration from as well, direct inspiration from. So I think you might enjoy that.
It reminds me a little bit of the Jungle Book too.
Sure, I can totally see that.
Yeah. But I think I would like to answer your question more directly. I would probably be more interested in reading something about this versus Dragon Ball because I don't know, like this is kind of in my mind now, that story. Like Black Myth Wukong is my Journey to the West. So I'm going to have a hard time not associating some of the things I've seen and done in this game with that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My question for you, do you recall anything in the story? There's I don't know the name of the guitar that is tied to a lot of traditional Chinese music that you would hear, but there's a headless guy that you have met in chapter 2 that plays a guitar, and he has some fucking bangers, but I don't know if he seems pretty important from a story perspective.
I'm not familiar. I have not read Journey to the West. That's something I should probably do at some point. But it's not one I'm familiar with.
I will be talking about this game later in the year, but I will just tell you at this point in time, Black Myth Wukong gets a very high endorsement from me as a game that you should check out this year. It's $60, which is great. You can get a digital deluxe version for $70, and I believe that just gives you an additional outfit in the game that you can have. So
okay. Also, by the way, I'm a little bit wrong. I was thinking of it wrong. There are 4 classic Chinese novels.
Okay.
It's Journey to the West, Outlaws of the Marsh, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and Dream of the Red Chamber. The water one I'm thinking of is by the same person who wrote Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and that was his next one, Luo Guanzong, which is also kind of like a Homer kind of thing, where the Greek Homer, not the Simpsons Homer, where it was kind of like maybe it's a lot of people who kind of like smashed together to be this one author. So I missed out on some of that, but anyway, also just trying to figure out what that book is called.
Right on, man.
The Water Margin is what it's called.
Water Margin. SteamWorld Heist 2, Mobile Golf, and Black Myth Wukong were the games we talked about this week. Tune in for more episodes where we cover those, probably leading up to Game of the Year. But enough about what we're currently doing. Let's look back at what we said we were going to do, Chase.
What we did do. Yeah.
What did we do? Was it an affront to God? Probably.
Well, always. Definitely. Absolutely. I mean, we are gamers after all. But Yeah. So what we like to do before we get into the preview of the month to come, we like to look back and see what we picked out for last month, and see if those things came to pass or if we have egg on our face, and just kind of take stock. Just take stock. So Bobby, you actually had a lot of stuff on your list from last month. I kept it more to like the traditional 3, but it's fine that you like things.
Well, with Johnny gone, I got to pick up the slack.
That's true.
Yeah.
He's such slack was left.
He would have filled this out maybe right at this point in time.
So Bobby, you had I Am Your Beast, and I don't remember anything about this game. What is I Am Your Beast?
This is the one that you watched me play the demo of. This was the fast moving first person shooter in the woods where you had to run through the level.
Oh yeah.
This got delayed. This is the first time that studio delayed a game. They work at a clip. It comes out in September. September 10th is when that comes out. So that got delayed. I will be playing that though.
Okay. You had Core Keeper?
Yes, that just came out yesterday, and I've played a lot of this in early access. I'm actually going to be trying to play this with Zoe a little bit. This is Terraria meets Minecraft, so you know what it is.
And it also, we will mention it really quickly on the September preview because it is coming to more consoles. It's getting reported to some other stuff. Tactical Breach Wizards, which we played some more on Monday, and
so much fun.
And we played a demo thing before that too.
We had a hell of a run on Monday. We did pretty good. Yeah.
I would love to play it for people who didn't listen in on Monday. It's by the same developer, Tom Francis, as Gunpoint and Heat Signature. I love Gunpoint. That was another game that was on my wheel earlier this year and had a fantastic time with. Maybe it was last year. And Heat Signature has always been on my list to play someday.
Yeah.
And so Tom Francis making another good video game is unsurprising to me. Now, of course, it's locked to PC like all of his games are. So I don't know when I will get to it, but it's also a tactical turn-based shooter. So it's not like I need good keyboard and mouse skills to be able to play a game like that. But yeah, it looked really cool. Some really cool writing in it. I like the premise that you are Navy Seers instead of Navy SEALs.
Yep.
And it's all about it's you mentioned XCOM Chimera Squad as a game that it kind of feels a little bit like, and it does, but also you're wizards, so it's all magic shit.
Yeah, it's great.
It's cool. It's
the Broom Breach was so good.
Let me ask you about a game that might not be as good, and that is Star Wars Outlaws.
I will be giving more hot takes next week, but my hot take is that I'm having a hard time with that one, my friend.
Yeah, it sounds like the hottest take is that the day one patch came out and kind of fucked the whole entire game.
Not to mention, dude, these are people that paid the most money for the game or subscribed to Ubisoft Plus. So they pushed a patch out that is erasing people's gameplay so far. And an effort to make up for it, they're giving you a trinket.
Effort's a strong word.
Dude, it gets worse. This is the same reward that they let people get from watching 30 minutes of this game on Twitch.
Oh, cool. Hell
and
yeah.
So they also give you, I'm sorry, I should have led with this, 100 Ubisoft coin points that you can use to like unlock, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
like,
sure, yeah. You get like your Ezio costume for the Star Wars Outlaw or whatever.
You get 100 coins and a trinket as a, sorry we erased your game and you paid us $100 for this from Ubisoft. Yeah, not great.
That's too bad. I've heard some reviews of that it's relatively mixed. Again, we'll hear from Bobby when he puts a little bit more time into it next week. But it does seem like that game is fine, but not necessarily good.
I think that game's ranging from a 4 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10, depending on the outlet. And I think at the time of day, probably all those are valid.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yep.
You had Dredge, the Iron Rig, which is the new
Very fucking
DLC
cool.
for Dredge. Good stuff there. Yeah, I think you talked about it on the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then SteamWorld Dice 2, which we talked about earlier, and we're both big fans. For me, I had 3 games. I had Castaway, which Bobby has played, and I did not. But Bobby, you said that game's good.
It's really cool and short, so you'll love it.
Yes, I do. I like good short games. But like I said, it's basically like a Link's Awakening. It is 100% taking like the like the style of Link's Awakening, and just like some of the assets. It seems like Someday I'll play that, but I still have Link to the Past to play sometime this year. It was on my New Year's resolutions list, and I think I'll probably end up playing that before I play Castaway. But it's great to hear that game is good and well liked, and only like $8. So that's also great.
Yep.
Grapple Dogs, Cosmic Canines. Did that get delayed? I thought I saw that.
It did.
For
that got delayed as well. There's that got delayed. The I Am Your Beast got delayed, and Frostpunk 2 got delayed.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I still think that game looks really cool. And then I had SteamWorld Heist 2, which obviously I'm loving.
Did not get delayed.
It did not get delayed. Very happy that game did not get delayed, so I can play it right now and as much as possible. So let's talk about September, and we'll start with September with some free video games.
Who doesn't love a good free game?
Everybody likes free video games. How do you feel about Quidditch Champions, Bobby?
Is this so? I know that there was like for the Hogwarts Legacy game, they added Quidditch into it, and then they said, "Hey, there's a Quidditch game coming out that's only Quidditch." I don't know if this is the same. I don't think this is.
I have no idea. I just know this is Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. It's coming to PS4 and PS5 this month. And on September 3rd, you can add it to your PlayStation library. I don't know. I have no opinion on Quidditch. There's bludgers.
I think the sport seems interesting, but I've never been obsessed with it. It was never like when I was reading Harry Potter books back, in the 2000s. Was never like my most exciting part of the books for me.
Yeah, that's fair. MLB The Show 24.
Is this a new one or the old one?
No, so this was the one that came out before the baseball season. They always put out the game right as baseball season is starting. And now that, and I think what they end up doing is that always in like September or October, they're like, we'll just give you the game while the World Series is going on to get the last little bit of hype. Maybe somebody buys some of the digital trading card shit before everybody moves on to the next game. But like those games have been solid, and for free, I'll add this to my library. I don't know if I'll end up playing it, but they are solid video games. If you like baseball, they are one of the better baseball games in town, and the only really good one with the actual players. So.
Yeah.
And then Little Nightmares 2, which is a Bandai Namco game. This is like the side
I've never
scroller.
played them. They look great though.
I have watched a lot of the first one being played. It's horror stuff. I wouldn't say it's too scary, but it's also just not my.
You get
thing.
chased a lot, right?
You do get chased a lot. It's very much like feels like it has like a Nightmare Before Christmas Tim Burton-y style of that kind of claymation that's going on. It's very much like everybody's kind of has like a Jack Skellington feel to it, even though like you're a tiny little kid in like a rain slicker or whatever, and then all these horrific things are chasing you and all that stuff. But yeah, Little Nightmares 2, PS4 and PS5. All of these are both PS4 and PS5. And they will be available between September 3rd and September 30th.
Nice.
On PlayStation Plus Essentials. We don't check the extra or the premium or any of that shit here.
I'll give you a quick
Bobby, do you want to
rundown
talk about
here.
some Game Pass?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, why don't you run that down?
Star Trekker comes out on September 3rd. Age of Mythology Retold.
What'd you call me?
Listen here, Star Trekker. Age of Mythology Retold comes out on the 4th of September. Train Sim World 5 on September 17th. Frostpunk 2, as previously mentioned, comes out now on September 20th, almost a month later. And Ara, I think. History Untold.
I think it is Ara. Yeah.
September 24th. And
cool.
there could be more. What? Yeah,
and we'll mention some of those games. I don't think I listed all of them for the actual monthly previews. Again, just to let everybody know, they release so many goddamn video games every month, and we try to curate our list a little bit on things that are interesting to us, or it might make interesting conversation, or maybe just like the biggest releases. But we don't have time to talk about every goddamn video game. Yes. Which we also fail on quite often, but we try. All right, Bobby, we have one little piece of business left before we get into the month of September. We've got to spin a wheel.
Let's do it, man. Let's spin your wheel.
What is the next game I will be playing or trying for the month of September? Hope it's a good one.
Oh no! How does this happen?
I don't know. I can't see it until it shows up, which... Fuck yeah! All right, I guess I will not be playing Tactical Breach Wizards, but I will be playing Heat Signature.
Fair.
That's great.
Yeah, man.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
there you
a
go.
great excuse.
Yep.
The second Tom Francis game to show up on the wheel, and I will happily be playing some Heat Signature. That'll be great.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. I'm a little bit worried that that game is kind of actiony, so I will need some keyboard and mouse skills. But I know the mechanics at the very least are something that I'm going to be really excited to play, and that'll be fun.
The Steam community. Sometimes people they create a controller profile you just download.
Yeah, and I know like there's like Steam Deck support and stuff like that, and I'm sure I could play it that way. Yeah, Heat Signature. Okay,
awesome.
It's finally time. I can shut up about playing Heat Signature and actually just play Heat Signature. That'll be great.
The wheel keeps on turning.
The wheel giveth. Yes. All right. Well, let's talk about the month of September, and we will start on September 3rd with Bakaru, which is coming to Nintendo Switch and PC. So this game, Bobby, are you familiar with? I know you're not familiar with Chinese history. Are you familiar with Japanese history? All right. Well, you know what? I kind of figured.
Yeah.
But there is a ninja out there, like one of the like a historical ninja warrior figure named Goemon.
Okay.
But you played Persona 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the personas was Goemon. I think it was Ryuji. No, Ryuji's was the pirate.
Yes, Ryuji was a pirate.
The artist guy.
Oh yeah.
His persona was Goemon.
Yes.
I believe this is me kind of pulling it out of my ass, but I believe Goemon was boiled alive with his child. Yeah, because he was like a thief warrior guy and got into some trouble. And they boiled him alive, and I think the story goes that he like held up his child while he was boiling alive, so his child could live a little bit longer. And I think now like Japanese, like an old style of like Japanese cauldron is called a Goemon pot for that purpose. Isn't history fun?
Yeah.
Anyway, this is Bakaru.
Okay, I don't think I'll be playing Bakaru, but yeah.
Oh, I don't think there's any boiling in pots in Bakaru. So there was also a video game on the Nintendo 64 called The Mystical Ninja Goemon, or the Adventure of the Mystical Ninja Goemon, or something to that effect. There was also a Super Nintendo one as well. And this feels like it's kind of like a spiritual successor to this.
Okay.
The Mystical Ninja game was kind of like, hey, we saw that Mario 64, and we think we can make a 3D platformer in that vein as well. And they kind of did. This is not by the same developer or anything, but I think it has those sensibilities, and it looks like a bunch of silly fun. You're gaining different powers and able to use them in different ways. It is kind of faux Japanese history, having some fun with Japanese historical stuff. But I just think it looks like a pretty solid little game. I like it has like a Mario Galaxy feel to it or like a not Galaxy, Odyssey. Has like a Mario Odyssey feel to it, where we are kind of just like exploring these spaces and getting new powers and having a lot of fun. I think it looks cool. I don't know if I'll be picking it up, but I was pretty impressed with this trailer.
Right on.
And now you know that guy died in a pot. So
poor little thing.
Useful stuff. Let's talk about the also coming out on the 3rd of September is Parcel Core.
This game's very good,
PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. Yeah, I had never seen this game before, and I think this game looks rad. It's like a cross between Crazy Taxi and Tony Hawk.
And a little Jet Set Radio, maybe?
Sure, absolutely. There's some Jet Set in there.
This was the last Next Fest. We didn't play it on stream, but I played it. It's
okay. Cool. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a trailer that didn't have the silly live action dev stuff, which is fine. I mean, they are fun. They are fun trailers, but I just think the game looks really good, and I wanted to see more of the video game.
It's really neat, man. It's definitely, like, you summed it up really well. I think this is, and if the month wasn't so stacked, and if the end of August wasn't so stacked for me, I just picked up a week ago Bomb Rush Cyberpunk to check out. Like,
Sure.
So I will check it out for sure, but probably not in September.
Yeah, this feels like one that like when it goes on sale, I will pick up when it's like 10 or 20% off. But yeah, it looks good. I like this world. It's really colorful and fun. On the 5th is Gimmick 2 coming to Switch and PC. So the original Gimmick, which I didn't know about, this came out on the NES in 1992, and it got a limited edition or a special edition re-release on the Switch last year. And this game is gotten a complete makeover.
Looks
in
like
terms of so like art style wise. Like the remaster was just, hey, we kind of put the pixels in the video game. And this one is, hey, we put in a brand new art style. It seems interesting. Like it's got some pixel perfect platformy kind of stuff. It's got some like the character certainly has a Kirby look to him, and it seems like maybe like the Kirby's Dream Land, the original one, where you couldn't get new powers, and you had to focus more on the platforming. It feels like maybe it's a spiritual successor to that Kirby game rather than getting all the power stuff that you get from later Kirby games.
I can see that.
It seems neat, man.
Yeah, man, it's really pretty.
Yeah, I should. Makes me kind of want to go back and see what the original Gimmick was about.
I could see you being into that.
Yeah. On the 6th is Astro Bot coming to PS5.
Ooh.
So this game looks amazing. I mean the what was the last one called?
Is Playroom?
Yeah, Astro's Playroom. Yeah. So that was a launch title for the PS5, and one of the worries that I have, I guess, for this game. Well, this trailer is awesome. I think I know this is going to be a very fun game. But like there's a worry that part of the appeal of Astro's Playroom is, hey, I just got a PS5. What can this thing do?
Yeah.
And Playroom was so much of a, well, your controller has this stuff in it, and you're using the touchpad, and you're using the rumble features, and you're using the adaptive triggers, and like it was a lot about learning about the console. And I wonder if there's going to be an audience out there who's going to not play this game because it doesn't have that same cachet or gimmick.
Well, the gimmick's there
from the game before.
It's there.
Well, I mean, yes, the gimmicks are there, but like people have owned PS5s for a while. Like, it's not new to talk about adaptive triggers and stuff like that. There's no new piece of hardware that somebody is associating with this in the same way that they associated VR with the first Astro game, or the PS5 and the DualSense for the second Astro game.
I think what I would counter with is that this, to me, like, I played Astro first time on VR when I had a PSVR, and then obviously I got a PlayStation 5. And it has been tied to those things that you're talking about. But at the core of those was a fucking incredible 3D platformer.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that now they're like, this, what it represents. Let's just give you a really fucking awesome, like, Sony, and it's been decades, in my opinion, since they've had a worthwhile game in this category.
Yeah, like an actual mascot for their mascot platformers.
Yeah. And I know people that we listen to have played it, and everybody's walked away pretty much like jaw on the floor for this game. So I hope it's that, but I agree with you. Like, they have to make it feel like we're going to give you an amazing 3D platformer, not just a gimmick this time around.
Right. Yeah. It's like that is my thing. I'm going to pick this game up. I'm going to love this game.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to sing its praises. Like I already know this.
Yeah.
But there is a worry that are people outside of you and me and a more hardcore audience going to care about a new Astro Bot game? And I hope the answer is yes.
I think Sony's had a pretty quiet year, all in all.
Yeah.
And so the people that have a Sony and like kind of only have a Sony are going to be very hungry for it. Also, man, that is one of the coolest exclusive controllers I've ever seen. And I think that might help get some buzz going for it.
It's fun. It's fun. So that comes out on the 6th. We'll see real soon. But also like all those Astro games have been very short as well. So I'm very much looking forward to another game that is probably pretty short. Probably has some replayability stuff in there like the other games have. I know there's like some multiplayer stuff that's some time trial stuff that I know people like Jeff Grubb are really excited to do more leaderboard shit. But if this game is just a solid game you can play for a weekend and have a really good time and see some cool stuff and remember how cool Sony used to be, I'm up for that. All right, Bobby, it's your turn to shine. On the 9th is Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 coming to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. I know jack shit about Warhammer except the ones that were in Magic the Gathering. So why don't you handle this one?
Well, I don't know much about Warhammer either. I've played probably more of them than you, so I know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is this is probably the Warhammer game I've been looking for. I've enjoyed the other ones, but this seems to be the one.
The first one was like an action game, right? Like you're a space marine. You're going and using chainsaw swords or whatever the fuck as you kill a bunch of things and run from place to place. I think that game came out on like the 360 or something. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So they're making a second one, and the thing I can see here is that they've added cooperative campaign.
This is a three-player, third-person, over-the-shoulder co-op. It kind of looks like Gears of War camera.
Sure, totally. Which feels like it makes a lot of sense. Like, we have chainsaws.
Yeah, why wouldn't we
attached to other weapons? Of course, we're going to do Gears of War kind of stuff. I'm sure Gears of War probably got inspired by 40K in the first place.
Yep.
So,
it looks like a lot of customization that you could expect from a 40K game, class stuff, etc. The game, I've intentionally been trying to go into this as blind as possible because I knew, like, as soon as I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I want. I'm going to play the shit out of this game. Johnny and Zoe both have it. I have it pre-installed, or not pre-installed, but I've had it pre-purchased, ready to go.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait for this.
What is the Space Marine faction called? Who are these guys?
No idea.
Okay.
No idea, dude. I'm hoping
you're the 40K guy.
No, that's Johnny, man. Johnny's the one who's like deep into the lore with it. I have enjoyed the game, but I've never really been able to stick with it because of either the game having problems or other shit came out. But this is the one I think that will get me for sure. I should be able to answer that question with authority sometime soon.
All right. Well, let me know if Marnius Calgar or Inquisitor Greyfax are in this game, because I have their cards. But other than that, I have no idea who any of these people are. Okay, I guess we have to talk about it. On the 10th, the Elder Scrolls.
We'll move.
What?
Just say it's coming out. We'll move on from it.
Okay. The Elder Scrolls Castles is coming out on the 10th for mobile, and Bethesda looked at Fallout Shelter and they went, "Yeah, we should make another one of those.
It makes
sense. Get it with a different game." Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. I just could not care less.
People will.
Fallout Shelter was kind of fun, but also Fallout Shelter had like an art style. Like Pip-Boy is a cool looking character, and this
ain't it.
This looks generic as fuck.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to a game that, at least Bobby will find more interesting. Also on the 10th is Satisfactory, which is going to 1.0. This is 1.0, yes?
1.0, finally.
Coming to PC. Bobby, take it away. Tell me about Satisfactory.
I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. I'm just going to tell you.
I think you're going to spend a lot of time.
I will spend a lot of time here. I feel very confident in what I'm about to tell you, Chase, that I've played a lot of automation games. You know, this is one of my favorite genres. I love factory games. Satisfactory is the tippy top of that list for me. It is the best. I've stopped playing that game because of this. I've not played it for a while. I'm going in and going to set up a whole brand new factory, get it going. And I am just nervous and excited about what's going to happen, because this is also coming out around the time that I'm going to be packing up and getting stuff ready to go to move. Which is, I mean, I know what this game is. I can tell you already, it's going to be very high on my game of the year.
You should automate your move.
I'm working on it, dude. I'm working on it. It's cool though.
Well, I'm very excited for you. That'll be great. You'll we'll lose you there for a bit, but I'm sure you'll have a great time. Let's move on to the 12th, where we're getting Death Sprint 66 coming to PC. We talked about this before. I think it was shown off at like the PC gaming show.
It was on a Next Fest too.
Okay. This is. I just like this shit. I like racing games where you're not necessarily in cars.
It's like Tron meets what was the fucking PlayStation? Dude had the tires for arms. They made a TV show on Amazon about him.
Yeah.
Twisted Metal. It's like Tron meets Twisted Metal meets Mario Kart.
Yeah, for sure. I like games. I like racing games where you're not like in traditional cars. Like I think Kirby's Air Ride is cool. I talk so much about Kinetica, a game that is mid, but I love it just because of the style. That's another PS2 game where you had wheels on your arms. But Death Sprint 66 looks very silly. It's PC only, so I'm probably not going to be playing it. But this idea of like competitive hardcore, like this. There's I don't know. There's something that feels very silly about
very
it.
Cybertrunk or Cyberpunk.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I like yours better. What was just Cyberdrunk?
Cybertrunk.
This is a Cyberdrunk game.
Cybertrunk.
All right, let's move on. Also on the 12th, Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown is coming to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. Have you ever played one of the Test Drive games?
Yeah, back in the PS2 days.
Yeah, I never have, so I can't tell you anything about like the way they feel racing.
I don't remember how they feel. They weren't my favorite. I was a Midnight Club 2.
Sure. Yeah, Dub Edition.
Dub Edition.
That was 3, but yeah.
This got round wheels.
The wheels incredibly round.
Incredibly round.
But also there is there's like a James Bond spy kind of story going on in the background. I know we're not listening to this trailer or anything like that, but it seems like there's a lot of talk about how this is kind of like a MI5 thing or whatever the hell's going on. So I don't know. Could be interesting. It looks like they've got a lot of varied cars in here from different eras, and those wheels so round. So who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
On the 13th, Demon School finally comes to PC, Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. We've talked about this
for a while. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's like Persona meets Fire Emblem, like Persona of like the school setting, and it's a turn-based strategy game. I think it's got this trailer. I don't think it's necessarily very good because it's a lot of these practical effects that are going on and less about the game. Again, I couldn't find a really good trailer for it, but I also think this trailer is very stupid and fun.
Are you gonna get this one?
I'm thinking about it. I'm really thinking about it. I want to see if the reviews are good. And maybe read up on it a little bit, but this should be up my alley. It is a little. I mean, it's in the name. It's a little demony. It's a little horror-y, which I don't love. I don't love these.
I think I've gotten this one.
Eyeball things.
I've mixed this one up with like Goodbye Volcano High.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's the one that I think is more. Personas is what they call them, I believe.
Yeah, that's one also like more like adventure-y and less like RPG stuff, and certainly not a tactical game. I've been excited from what I've seen from Demon School so far. I just hope it really follows through because I would love another one of these kinds of games. It doesn't seem like we're getting a Fire Emblem anytime soon, so give me something to play.
Nope.
We mentioned this earlier, but on the 17th, Core Keeper is coming to a couple new systems. PC, PS4, Xbox One. I think it was only on new consoles before that, and maybe Switch. Maybe it was Switch, PS5, and Xbox Series X. So now it's coming to some other things as well. Bobby, anything else you want to mention about Core Keeper?
It's great. Like again, Terraria meets Minecraft, dungeon, spelunking, like co-op, very, very fun on Game Pass. So if you're looking for something to play with your friends who don't like, the sweaty games that are out there for multiplayer, this is maybe something to check out.
Yeah. Speaking of fun, not sweaty games, also on the 17th is the Plucky Squire.
I can't wait, man.
This just looks so cool. It
looks
looks
so
inventive
good.
and fun.
Yep.
It's coming to PC, Switch, PS5, and Xbox Series X. I mean, we've seen this kind of 2D to 3D shift in games like we brought up Mario Odyssey earlier for a different game, but there were those times in Mario Odyssey where you'd go into a pipe and you'd come out as Sprite Mario and you'd be doing a 2D thing. And this game seems like it took that inspiration and went, what if we built like a whole game based on popping in and out of the environment, going from 2D to 3D. It's all very storybook style. Like you go out into the real world and go through like this kid's room and you're popping into pages of the book and then popping back out.
There was one where I saw boulders were falling, and like in like in Link to the Past, the way that the boulders would fall off Death Mountain, and as they hit the end of the book, they fall onto the desk and they're like bouncing off the desk.
That's fun. That's cool.
Yep.
I think this has a lot of legs in all the things you can do with it, and that'll be a pretty fun one. So I think we'll talk about it at the end here, but that seems like one to watch.
Yep.
Another one to watch that I've been watching for goddamn eternity.
Yeah, I thought we talked about this another month. Did it get delayed?
It's gotten delayed a billion times, but UFO 50 is finally coming out on September 18th, 2024. And so far, this is only the PC version. I know it will be coming to other consoles at some point. But man, I've been
You've been on this one for a while.
Well, I know I talked about this a long time ago, but like I played this game. I played a demo of this game at a PAX West like almost a decade ago. And it was cool then. And I'm like, oh, well, this game's almost out then, right? No. The answer is no.
No.
It turns out making 50 different games, not many games, 50 different games, and throwing them all into a single package apparently takes time. And I'm just glad it's coming out. I'm glad it's coming out. I think there's a lot of inventive stuff in here. 50 different games. Some of them like tie into each other. Like the idea, if you've played like a retro game challenge on the DS, which is another franchise I really like. I think the idea here is like, what if there was a fictional game developer out there from the NES era, NES and Super Nintendo era, and what if you could just go back and play through all of the video games that they made, and sometimes there'll be sequels to a game, and you'll see how the mechanics evolved, but also these games are coming out at the same time, so it's not like they evolved from one thing to the other. They had to think about like, oh, what if we made this game this way and this game this other way, and then build the story around how they evolved. A lot of these games have multiplayer options with them. Some of them are just full single player. Some of them are kind of like arcade party games, and some of them are like they span all different genres here. I just think this is a really neat idea to smash things together. Like there's, remember back in the day where you'd have like Game Boy cartridges or NES cartridges that would say like 50-1 or 101 video games, and all of them were bullshit. Most of them were just kind of like the same games reskinned. And there's something kind of cool about what if one of those shitty cartridges actually ended up being filled with amazing games. And I want this. I've wanted this for so long. So it's really cool.
You're gonna get it. It's coming.
Yeah. Also, Derek Yu, the developer of Spelunky and Spelunky 2, he is the one spearheading this. So I don't know how many individual games he worked on for UFO 50, but I know he is kind of like the driving force behind this collection of games. So that's also very heartening that a guy who knows how to make a fucking video game
makes it and does it well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on to the 19th. Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, DRDR as they are calling it, comes to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
what's your opinion on the Dead Rising series?
I think it's better as a memory for me.
Okay. I've never played any of these games. I've never really cared.
It was really novel. Like I think it's a very important Xbox 360 game, but I don't know how it holds up today.
We talked a little while ago, about things that we hate in games.
Yeah.
And one of the things we both hated are time limits.
Yep.
And the first Dead Rising game, the one that this is remastering, is the whole point is a time limit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think when you build the time limit as like the complete feature of the video game, it made it more interesting. Like there's a reason why the time limit is in this game, and I think they use it to really good effect. But it was still something that people bristled at, and I know that later Dead Rising games found ways to either mitigate or just completely take out the time limit at all.
Sure.
So it'll be interesting to see if people come back to this and still think it's got what it had before. I just know it was a really popular game when it first
very different time.
Yeah, and they've already remastered this. Like this is the deluxe remaster in that it's not just higher res, but like they actually went back and changed all the assets and things like that. And I know there's also some purists out there who are talking about the things that they changed because what do you upgrade in 2024, and like are you fucking up the video game? But we've seen Capcom do this in the recent past with Resident Evil. Like, okay, not only are we going to put the game out, take this old game that we have and we're going to remaster it, but now we're going to do a remake of the remaster and we're going to put a whole new one out there. Resident Evil 4 is the newest one, which went well. People like that new Resident Evil 4 as well as the original Resident Evil 4. So they've shown success with that in the past, and they've always got that Monster Hunter money at this point.
Of course.
Capcom's just they've got like a new thing to try, and Dead Rising seemed like the next game that made logical sense for them to give this treatment to. So we'll see how it goes.
Let's see how quick we can get through these next ones.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh yeah, I didn't even look at the time.
Yeah.
Bloomtown, A Different Story is coming out on the 24th of September, coming to PC, Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X. I just thought this had really nice pixel art.
It looks really cool. I've heard some good stuff about this for sure.
It's also got like a horror vibe to it. I know you don't really see it in the trailer here, but if you listened to the trailer,
oh yeah,
some real creepy music going on with all this stuff. So I don't know, but I just thought it looked kind of nice, and I like all the party members here, like Big Dinosaur and lots of like eclectic characters that you get. On the 26th, Earth Defense Force World Brothers 2 comes to Switch, PS4, and PS5. I've played one of the Earth Defense Force games and had a pretty good time with it. It's very silly.
Yeah.
And then this kind of spin-off series, the World Brothers one, takes it in this voxely direction, and it looks like a little bit more like kid-coded with the sprites, or not the sprites, like the art style that they're going with here. But there does seem to be something cool about this. This just looks like dumb fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are built to be co-op games. I could even see this something being that you and I pick up if it went on sale or something, and us doing like a casual Monday.
Oh,
Sunday.
100%. This would be a fun thing for sure. Just dumb fuck around.
Yeah, just like dumb chaos stuff, but also just very good. So we'll keep an eye on that one. All right, Bobby, let's talk about something really important here. Also on the 26th, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is coming to Nintendo Switch. For whatever reason, I did not realize it was coming out this soon.
Yeah. I can't wait. This is going to be so good. Like, I'm all the way in and then some with this one.
Yeah. I know I was talking about wanting remakes of the Oracle games in that new Link's Awakening style. Because I did not expect them to say, "Oh, what if we just made a brand new video game with those assets?" But they did. They just made a brand new video game with those assets, and I think the stuff we've seen with this, having Zelda be the lead character, the inventiveness of what can you do without a sword,
Yeah.
I've just seen lots of stuff here that makes me excited about what this game could be. And we're going to find out real quick what this game actually is, and I'm sure it's going to be a ton of fun. So
It's going to be
very much
so
looking forward
good.
to that one. Also on the 26th, Shadows of Doubt is coming to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X.
This one seems cool. A lot of people, I saw a lot of early buzz on it, but
yeah. So there was kind of like some early buzz, and then there was kind of some early backlash as well. Like once the brand newness of it kind of faded, people were like, it's a little repetitive. But the idea here is that it's like a full city block or whatever, and you're a detective, and the game has a procedural system that is building cases or building murders, and you have to solve those murders. But because it's procedural, it's not, you have to do different things each time. And, the stories that you are able to get into feel emergent. Now, I think that's why it can feel a little repetitive, is that, kind of like maybe like an Assassin's Creed 1 kind of thing. You go and sit on that bench and listen to that thing. You go and do this thing and do this other thing over here. And okay, they all kind of play out similarly. But that was some feedback I saw earlier on in its early access period, and now this is coming to 1.0. And so I'll be really curious to see how much has been added, whether people are really excited about this one when it comes out. But I would like to see more about this video game, because I think it could be really, really interesting.
totally.
And then finally on the 30th, Starfield. Remember Starfield?
Nope. Don't need. I'm good.
Okay. Starfield Shattered Space. It's the new DLC thing. It's coming to PC and Xbox.
I think a little too little, a little too late, my man.
It's probably a lot of too little and a lot of too late, if you ask me. But so that's those are the games of September.
Starfield, no thank you. Nice job, man. You always do a great job bringing those together. I appreciate you doing such. Let me pull up credits here, and I will get us on our way out. Chase, as we mentioned, we played Tactical Breach Wizards on Monday.
Did you want to make some picks?
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, I'm just let's make some picks.
Yeah, make your picks. What'd you pick, Bobby?
I got a lot here. I've got Zelda, The Plucky Squire, Core Keeper, Satisfactory, Warhammer, and Astro Bot, and I plan on playing all those.
Yeah, you're gonna be feasting this month. I expect. I have a few. I also have Zelda. I bet I will like this one. Although I'm real pissed now, because this is going to cut into my Link to the Past time that I was thinking.
There you go.
But I gotta play this one, because this is the big one. UFO 50. I think you heard me gush enough that I'm pretty excited about that one. And then Astro Bot. I still have my worries that it's not going to get the flowers that it deserves, but I will be there giving it flowers on day one, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you? That's your shit. I can see it happening. Right on, man. Solid games. September. I think I said it on Monday night. This is probably going to be the biggest month of the year for me. So looking forward to hearing more from you as we get into it. But this week we checked out Tactical Breach with us on Monday, had a blast playing it. You can go watch those videos over on YouTube or on Twitch for a bit. We told you all about the games coming out in September tonight, and on Friday night, I have Star Wars Outlaws here. If I hit a wall with it this week, which probably we'll see, I might fire up Black Myth Wukong. But one of those two games on Friday night, we'll let you know how it goes. Chase, how you holding up? What do you got going on, friend?
Chase K Play is still going strong. There's a new episode of Black Hole Sun. It's out. Came out today, or came out on Wednesday, depending on when you're listening to this. Got into Green Earth territory. I'm getting there. I'm still chipping away, but we're closing in on the end of that game at some point, and that'll be great. It's been a lot of fun, but I'm also excited to move on to something else. And then for Pilot Program, the podcast I do with Pierce Corshane, where we talk about TV pilots. That recording got pushed because it's a really busy time for Pierce. So when he's ready, we'll finally do our Mad Men episode, which we are both incredibly excited to do. That's one of our favorite shows, and it's one of the big ways that we became friends. So that'll be a fun one to kind of go down with memory lane, both of the show and our friendship. So definitely tune into that one once it's out. But at the moment, you can go to shows.acast.com/pilot program and check out all the other episodes of all the other shows that we've done, which have been a